Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities in case you missed it for June 2020. Quite a few things caught my attention this month, and one thing from last month that's too ridiculous not to share, so I actually had to narrow things down. This, in case you missed it, is taking us all around the world. Now, let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. Kevin Wise of Slidell was charged with simple criminal damage to property. So, why was he charged with this crime, you might be asking? Well, apparently, he was hot and decided to take a dip in some water. The problem is, the water was in a bass shop aquarium. Alright, so let me rephrase that. He wasn't actually hot, and he didn't just randomly decide to take a dip. You see, Wise decided to do this as a social media stunt, saying that if he got 2,000 likes, he'd take a dip in the aquarium. Well, he got those likes and he didn't want to be a liar, so he plopped in and had a dip, and now he's been charged and will most likely have to pay for cleaning the aquarium. Hope the 10 seconds of being a famous moron was worth it. So, going from Slidell, Louisiana to India, where something strange has just occurred. A crater lake, which is about 310 miles east of Mumbai and is believed to have been formed some 35,000 to 50,000 years ago, according to NASA, has turned colors. It's gone from green-blue color to pink within days. This has left some confused, but the explanation given is that this is due to the algae in the water turning colors in warmer weather. Now moving on to a post office in Germany. A particular package caused quite a stir at a post office in here we go, about the butcher. Schwanzenfurt. Close enough. Schwanzenfurt, Germany. So much so, the cops and firefighters were called in. Because of this package and its contents, 6 workers had to be taken to the hospital and 60 other workers had to be evacuated. 12 postal workers received treatment for nausea. The package was isolated, but it had to be opened to see what contents it held that could possibly make so many ill. Turns out, it was the king of fruits itself, durian. Someone was shipping durian, and the smell of the fruit, which has been said to be a mix of rotten meat, sewage, and dead rats, caused the commotion. Why anyone would ship that fruit through the normal post office is beyond me. More than that though, why anyone would eat that mess and actually like it, I will never understand. Something tells me though that this particular package did not make it to its destination. Instead, it most likely had a first-class shipping to an incinerator. Everyone expels gas. Yes, even women who hide it oh so well. It's a natural and somewhat embarrassing occurrence. However, if you find yourself in Austria, try to hold the nauseous gas of bodily foulness in around the cops. An Austrian man was fined €500 for loudly passing gas with, and I quote, full intent in the general direction of some Vienna police officers. The department said that the unidentified man behaved provocatively and uncooperatively during an interaction with police officers. A police officer stated that the offender arose from a park bench, looked at the officers near him, and then let go a massive intestinal wind, apparently with full intent. And our departments don't like to be farted at so much. Moving on to China, where someone probably should have been like the guy who farted and let this one out. A man, only known by Mr. Who, had a darn good night out in the town. He downed 10 bottles of beer and not too long after went to sleep while ignoring the call from his body to go pee. When Mr. Who woke, he was in tremendous pain from having to pee. The pain was so great, Mr. Who wasn't able to lie flat or relieve himself. Mr. Who went to the hospital only to find out that his bladder had exploded into 3 pieces. Because of the rupture, part of Mr. Who's intestines was actually spilling into his bladder, causing a life-threatening situation. However, emergency surgery was done and Mr. Who is alive and well. I expect now when he hears the call of nature, he'll run and do his business instead of sleeping on it. And our final story comes from Australia. Now, even though this is from last month, it's too crazy not to share. An Australian man was acquitted after he and another man entered the wrong home with machetes for a sexual fantasy scare. 2 men snuck into a bedroom with machetes after being hired to carry out a stranger's sexual fantasy of being tied up in his underwear and stroked with a broom, only to find out that they had the wrong address. One of the men, Terrence Leroy, has now been acquitted of entering the home intending to intimidate while armed with an offensive weapon, and the New South Wales District Court accepted his explanation. Judge Sean Grant said, "The facts of the case are unusual, but the evidence did not suggest that the men's actions were intentional. They carried the machetes either as a prop or something to use in that fantasy," he said. The fantasy was unscripted and there was a discretion as to how it would be carried out. According to court documents, a man living in western New South Wales near Griffith wanted a broom handle to be rubbed around his underwear. He was willing to pay $5,000 if it was really good. Court documents said the resident of the home where the men turned up to told police that when he noticed a light on in his lounge at around 6:15 a.m., he assumed it was a friend who visits daily to make coffee. He said he called out, "It's too early." A voice came back asking, "Is your name Kevin?" The man said he turned his light on to see 2 men he did not recognize standing next to his bed, both holding machetes. A conversation was then had in which the pair kept asking if he was Kevin, being told no in response each time. At one point, one of the men asked, "Are you sure you're not Kevin? As we were told to come to this address and pick up Kevin." After realizing a mistake has been made, the 2 men gave a "sorry mate" and left. According to police, the man who wanted the service of the 2 men to rub the broom on his privates, this Kevin, has a history of seeking out this type of sexual fantasy. However, it turns out that the man, Kevin, moved some 30 miles away from the location the 2 men went to. Now, whether or not this Kevin had his encounter with people wielding brooms is still an unknown. However, one other mystery remains. If this Kevin wanted to be rubbed on by a broom, why the heck did the 2 men have machetes? And that concludes In Case You Missed It for June 2020. Thank you all for watching, and if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to Unexplained Possibilities, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit, and those links can be found in the description below. Thank you all again for watching, and we will be seeing you next month.